So we'll just do it that way from henceforth, if that's even how you say that. But bonjour, welcome to another episode of the Johnny R podcast. I'm your host, Johnny R, from the Red Lake Nation. How do you do? I'm well myself. I'm busy, like usual. Work is getting more and more stressful. There's only so much I can do, Need a break, need a vacation soon. But so we had our election last week. Tribal election for Daryl Seekey beat Buck Jourdain. Annette Johnson beat Chad Prentice. And Sam Strong beat Darwin Sumner. So we got one new officer in there, so that's kind of exciting. A younger Ivy League educated tribal secretary. Not sure if we ever had an Ivy Leaguer on the tribal council before, so that should be pretty promising. But like I said before, I voted for Buck Jourdain and Chad Prentice, and I voted for Sam Strong, and Michelle Barrett-Kobenace won the Little Rock seat. So new faces showing up in the tribal council. Pretty excited about that. But really wonder if things are going to change. You wonder if things are going to get better around here. I'm not an optimist or a pessimist. I'm a realist. So I live this every day. Grew up here. I like to say I wish we could go back to the good old days, but thinking about growing up around here, it wasn't that nice, I suppose. Still had a lot of alcoholism, a lot of things done in the shadows that nowadays can be reported. A lot of things people got away with a long time ago because we didn't have the people just dealt with it their own way, and they're within the family. Probably not the best way to do things, but so I don't know if they're, in my 42 years, even though I've only lived here 38, I keep looking back, me growing up, I never noticed a struggle with my mom and my mom raising us and my stepdad coming along when I think I was 8 or 9, 4th grade, 8 or 9. My stepdad came in. My grandma and grandpa were still around. It was a tight-knit group. We all stayed close, even though my grandma and grandpa only had my mom and my Uncle Joe around here because my grandpa had a family before meeting my grandma. Same thing with with my grandma. She had a family before meeting my grandpa. So all those kids were grown up and moved away. So it was just us and my Uncle Joe and my mom. Plus we have relatives on my on both sides of the family, but I don't know. Seems like everybody. That's the good part about back in the day. Everybody was always there for each other, no matter what. And I don't feel that closeness anymore. I don't know if it's things happen and people drift. They have their own lives, and just thinking about me growing up, I was always with my grandpa Shorty. Followed him everywhere. Took us on rides. around the small little towns, go rummage sailing or hit the little stores, buy us candy, and just pretty much kept us busy. That's what grandparents do. But you don't see that around here. Like, I see a lot of grandparents having to step up and raise their grandkids because a lot of the parents are addicted to drugs or alcohol, or grandparents are forced to step up. The grandparents should be out, enjoying their lives, living after raising their kids. But it's not like that around here. If it wasn't for grandparents right now, this place would be in pretty bad shape. So, if your grandparents raised you, stepped up for you, not a lot of kids have that connection with their grandparents. I think about how important my grandpa was to me growing up. I didn't really have that bond with my grandma that I remember. She passed away when I was 10, and I don't know. It seemed like she was more towards my sisters, but just me and my grandpa. And I think about. Yeah, I just finished watching a show there with that new show called Yellowstone with Kevin Costner. His family, he had a grandson he hardly wasn't able to bond with, and now there's a part of that episode where he took his grandson out, teaching him to build a fire in the woods without a match or a lighter. And my kids growing up, they didn't really have that. They still don't have that. The connection I had with my grandpa. My in-laws or my parents. And I have 3 parents, and my kids they don't have that. And that's kind of, I don't know. It's part of growing up around here nowadays, I suppose. We got our own lives to lead, and my parents are doing what grandparents are supposed to be doing, out enjoying life, because they raise their kids. But it'd be nice if my kids had that. But I don't know, things happen. But anyway, election time, it was the worst of times around here. You see the ugliness, the rumors, the grudges people hold, and I was not a fan of that. I don't really. You hear my big fat ugly dog Obi protecting the yard. That was him barely breathing because he's a fat ass. Sounds like me when I come up the stairs. Anyway, election time was really. It was. I don't know. I wasn't too fond of it. People made their choice. Voted Daryl Seekey Sr. for a second term, and it was by a considerable, not really a considerable margin. 300 votes, maybe. Well, I guess that is 10% of the vote. Was it 50? I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I thought there was a change. You could feel. You just have a feeling that the people wanted something different, but I guess they didn't. I was critical of the Floyd Buck Jourdain administration. 10 years he was in there. I didn't agree with a lot of things, but I respected the office. Same thing with Daryl Seekey. I don't agree with the decisions he makes, but I gotta respect the office of the chairman. It's nothing personal. I don't think the Red Lake Nation is headed in the right direction. can't blame the chairman or the previous chairman. You got to blame the people that live here, the people that are making Red Lake what it is. You know, it's us. We got to look in the mirror. We have people just deciding to give up. And it's another thing I saw on that Yellowstone episode. A mother with 4 or 5 kids, committed suicide with her kids playing right outside. That's on the TV show, and the friends came in and noticed that the cupboards and the fridge and freezer were empty. That lady couldn't afford to keep her family fed, and she has parents that were doing well in another town, and she couldn't really see a way for her and her kids to survive together. So she did what she did, and the parents came and got the kids and had to take care of them, step up, take care of them. And the friend thought of it as it wasn't a suicide; it was more like a sacrifice for a better life for her kids. Because if she got her kids taken away, the parents probably wouldn't come get them, because they'd say it's the mother's fault for not being able to take care of them and let them go into foster care or whatever. Never would have happened, which probably would have. Now this is just a TV show, but you could, I see a lot of similarities around here. There's this Facebook video I see on Oglala, the Oglala Sioux Tribe, Pine Ridge, where most of the Lakota down there suffer from alcoholism. And there's this one guy they're interviewing, and it really, opened my eyes up to the problems a lot of people are facing. Not just there, but even here. They do it to, alcoholism is an escape. Alcohol is an escape. And while they're in there, they become, addicted to alcohol. The escape from reality that a lot of people want, because life is tough. They choose to escape momentarily, and they become addicted to that escape, and they keep wanting to go back. And with the heroin epidemic, makes it even worse. People can't deal with the harsh reality of life, so they need to escape. It really is tough around here. I figure there was like at least 3,700 votes cast. I think that's the number. And that's not even all the eligible voters. I don't know if that's total. I don't remember what the total was in just for the Red Lake, in the tribal members that live in Red Lake. It was probably about 2,000 voters. And you think about that, there are at least 2,000 people over the age of 18 and older. And how many jobs are available around here? How many houses are available around here? Livable houses. And they just get caught up and frustrated. I could see people frustrated with this place. Not everything's gonna work out. You just gotta keep plugging away. But a lot of people don't have the patience for that. It's generations of not getting answers or not getting the assistance they need, and it gets frustrating. So I don't know if any of the new tribal council members can snap their finger and make it all better, but it's just not them either. It's got to be a community effort, like I've said before, man. It's might have been on the previous one. There are things that happen, positive things that happen around here, but it's hard to stay positive in the Red Lake Nation. There are people that are making a difference. Like some of these younger kids are all going to college now. We got the Red Lake Nation College. That's a good start. You gotta learn to adapt. You gotta learn to live life. You gotta learn to adapt to the challenges life throws at you, and not just give up and look for the escape. A lot of our people are quick to go for that escape, and that's just not how our people were back in the day. They had to survive. They had to fight for everything they had, and there was no hiding. There's no being overwhelmed. I think about that too, being overwhelmed. It's the job I have, the responsibilities I took on, being a foster parent. It's overwhelming. It's a lot of work, but I don't do it for recognition. I don't do it don't do it for the money. You just gotta realize there are people that aren't able to raise their kids because of their circumstances they grew up with. Gotta be there to help the young ones. Teach them to fight, to keep fighting. A lot of our kids don't have that. So hopefully something will click. I remember when I ran for Little Rock District Representative, that was one of my topics was, I had a question about how to help the single or the absentee fathers that when the family breaks up, the dad goes one way and he doesn't have a job or education. He's just gotta realize it's time to step up. Something click in your head, your brain, your mind, that it's time to make a move. And that's what, I don't know if that makes sense, but think ahead. Focus on what's in front of you, but you gotta look ahead too. Know what's going on. Know what your family needs. Be there for your kids, man. Any way possible. Don't go for that escape. Don't do that. Don't go. It's easy to escape. Get drunk. Go somewhere, get a high. Then what? You're going to keep wanting to do that. Your body's going to need that. That's where I think I'm at a point where I was a big drinker. I still struggle with it. I hate to admit that I struggle with it because I would feel weak if I admitted I struggled with alcoholism. But that's just the reality. I wanted to, every little thing I still want to, I need a beer. Just give me a fucking drink, man. Let me hang out with the bros and have a few too many and act stupid and blackout drunk. But then I think about the next day, the hangover, the headache, the taste, the dry mouth, the throbbing, the anxiety, the shame you feel the next day. That's what keeps me sober. I want to go out and have a good time, hang out with my friends, and go to the 49. But the aftermath is too much for me to handle. the shame and anxiety, the withdrawals. I never understood that before. Remember, I had really bad panic attacks in my late 20s. I didn't know what they were, but I met with Fred DeJarley. He was a counselor at the IHS at the time in behavioral health, and I was explaining to him what it was, because I always thought I was, panic attacks, and I didn't know what it was. I thought I was dying. Thought I was having a heart attack, but I explained that to him, and he said those are withdrawals. And I thought, shit, I'm not. I was just drinking. I wasn't doing coke or anything. I wasn't doing any drugs. Or he said, no, that's just the body. I forgot what I was saying. What was I saying? Ooh, they were such good points too. Something about washing your hands after going to... I don't know. But... talking about the... Oh, I was talking about my struggles with alcohol. Stuff like that. It was anxiety, depression. I got to that point where... There was a time where I was going to college, and it was about 2 years in.